Republicans that have nothing else going on in their lives carry that resentment over to media figures that they despise forever. I just showed you an example of that with this pedophile Nazi that this other fucking Nazi, Elon Musk, is highlighting. Like, that level of obsession is abnormal, okay? It's stalker shit. Insane situation, especially because what Jimmy Kimmel said was nothing. Like, it was so timid. It was so moderate. It wasn't like a super significant or crazy fucking joke. Barstool's fracturing. I know. Dave Portnoy's being a bitch and everybody's yelling at him right now. But Barstool's always operated like this. I mean, guys, he's there. You know what I mean? Arian Foster's there. Like, they've always had a diversity of opinion, and they always dunk on Dave Portnoy too. We're gonna get to that stuff in a second. Yeah, Dave Portnoy is a bitch. But the reason why they're mad at Jimmy Kimmel is not because of this last iteration. The reason why they're mad at Jimmy Kimmel is because he like cried during COVID or some shit. I don't remember, but like, Republicans that have nothing else going on in their lives carry that resentment over to media figures that they despise forever. I just showed you an example of that with this pedophile Nazi that this other fucking Nazi, Elon Musk, is highlighting. Like, that level of obsession is abnormal, okay? It's stalker shit. In the real world, before the internet, if someone was behaving like that, it would look like they're taking newspaper clippings of their favorite fucking celebrity. Their friends and family would be concerned. But on the internet, you can engage in this kind of cyber stalking behavior, and this obsession can just turn into this thing that drives you, this driving force in your life when you have nothing else going on, okay? Republicans just hate Jimmy Kimmel. They've hated Jimmy Kimmel for a very long time because he's a fucking lib, okay? Can you explain what you mean when you call someone a Nazi? Genuine question. No, I can't. Come on, man. I mean, they're a fascist, okay? I mean, they're a white supremacist. I mean that they want to do violence to the out group in an effort to create a false sense of security and a false sense of superiority for the in group. Is that good? Is that a helpful answer for you? Do you understand that? Like, were you homeschooled? I don't understand. How do you not know what a Nazi is? Jesus.
No talent. Kimmel he was fired. He had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent. And more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent, they get ratings. But he had no ratings. His ratings were worse than Colbert, I think. They got rid of Colbert, which was a good thing to do. And look, that's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is...
Dude, you watch Trump all day, every day. I don't know if you know this, but he's the president. He's the president, man. He's quite impactful, I think. To be honest, Jimmy Kimmel was lame, but he didn't deserve to be fired over that. I don't care. He could be the lamest motherfucker on the planet. What I care about is this administration enforcing this suppression of speech for the pettiest fucking reasons, okay? I care about the utilization, the illegal and unjust utilization of regulatory agencies in an effort to sanitize the content of certain broadcasts that the president does not like. That is a direct violation of the First Amendment. Jimmy Kimmel's 5 viewers are very upset right now. Okay, there's 48,435 viewers in here, and we're all pretty fucking upset about this. It doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel personally. Okay? It has nothing to do with his content whatsoever. Stop doing this like pre-qualification shit. Being like, oh, I don't really like Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, okay, dude. Congratulations. Congratulations, dude. I know. Neither do I. Who gives a fuck? It is utterly irrelevant. This is not because he's a beloved figure, okay? Also, he's not just going after Jimmy Kimmel. He wants all of the shows that criticize him to be taken off air. And he's going to do the exact same thing. Do you not understand? This is about stamping out discontent, no matter how moderate, no matter how marginal. That's what's so fucking insane about it. And a lot of people are still like, well, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, well, you're a fucking moron. This has basically nothing to do about Jimmy Kimmel. A major reason why the administration is doing this is so that it can throw red meat in the direction of his base. The worse things get, the worse the economy gets, okay? The worse the economy gets, the more angry Trump's base gets, the more they start recognizing that Trump is not the savior that they thought he was going to be, the more he has to distract them with this dumb shit. But that distraction in and of itself is an incredibly significant erosion of the First Amendment. They are quite literally going after people that have the most timid tone against the admin. I tried to explain this to people so many times over. It's not just people like myself that they've branded as like dangerous radicals. It's any kind of discontent. They want to stamp out any kind of anti-Trump statements, anti-fascist statements. That is what they are doing. I don't know how much more. I don't know what else I can show you for you to recognize this. And if you don't recognize it, listen up. You might be dumber than the fucking Andrew Schultz podcast at that point. You might be dumber than half the fucking Barstool guys at that point, because even they fucking recognize it. You like to fancy yourself to be this like super educated leftist guy. They realize the danger. How the fuck don't you? Yeah, Andrew Schultz, Tim Dillon, comedians and podcasters who are righteous about free speech. Sam Morrill. I'm against Kimmel being taken off the air and against people being shot for their opinions. See how easy it is. Even Tim Dillon doing this silly ass fucking both sides situation here. Like he's like both sides again. Like this has anything to do with the other. FCC commissioner threatening to revoke broadcasting license has a chilling effect on free speech. Attorney General threatening to go after hate speech is a bad sign. When someone has a weapon, everyone will use it. I continue to unconditionally support Israel in all of its actions now and forever. Okay, that last part is actually funny. Left, fascism is wrong unless you kill. Oh God, why are these guys doing this fucking both sides nonsense, brother? Oh my God. Oh my God. They just keep leaning into it. Like they, even in this moment, even in this fucking moment, like the administration is going to come after you too eventually. They still have to fucking couch the statement in like, I'm on the fence. I'm apolitical. Both sides are doing crazy shit. Fascism is wrong. Unless you kill our political opponents, then we'll celebrate it. Cancel culture is wrong. Unless you cancel the shows of our political opponents, then we'll celebrate it. The vast majority of Americans that I speak to are repulsed by this behavior, yet there's almost no representation of the sentiment in media, independent or mainstream. How is that possible? These guys love presenting the silliest perspectives as though it's some semblance of like incredible bravery. Come on, Andrew. Jesus Christ, dude. What is this fucking fence sitting? Just say it is completely and utterly unacceptable that the administration is fucking actively trying to suppress speech. What's so crazy about it is when you say the left says fascism is wrong unless you kill our political opponents, then we'll celebrate it. You're pointing out like people in the margins, okay? And the vast majority of Americans that I speak to are repulsed by this behavior. But not only is this false framing, okay, not only is this fucking false framing, but what's so funny about it is virtually everyone is saying that, especially in mainstream media. I have yet to meet a person that hasn't said that in both mainstream and independent media. What the fuck? Not only is this like a made up version of the left, you can point to radicals everywhere, okay? You can point to people who are leftists themselves who have celebrated it, whatever, okay? I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But the notion that this is like the broad majorities of the left saying this kind of shit is so stupid. The Epstein list won't be released, but Jimmy Kimmel will be. What's wrong with criticizing both sides if both sides can be dumb? Dumber than the Fear and Pod? What's wrong with criticizing both sides if both sides in fact have dumb takes? Sometimes, in order to make it seem like both sides have dumb takes, you just kind of make up one side's dumb takes. Don't you think that's the issue here? And perhaps the reason why you're doing that is because you try to present yourself as this like apolitical vessel, this common sense guy, you know? You develop a straw man for one side and make it seem as though that's all they care about. The dumb take in this circumstance is the person going, the Trump administration came after Jimmy Kimmel, and here is why the left is wrong too. If you want to do a left-right dichotomy here, you could at least present like, cancel culture is fucking shitty and annoying and unproductive in almost every circumstance, no matter if it's hysterical campus SJWs doing it or every fucking divorced dad with skin-tight Oakleys doing front-facing car videos doing it, okay? And it's especially dangerous if it goes beyond cancel culture, when it turns into an erosion of the First Amendment. The government interfering in the content of certain broadcasts by utilizing the FCC to make threats is a direct intervention that is in violation of the First Amendment. So it's beyond cancel culture, okay? Hasan, I beg you to please stop using Groyper terminology. What the fuck is Groyper? Oh my God, I can't wait. Come on, give it to me. Give me the fucking dumbest take I've ever heard in my entire life. Come on, let's go. Come on. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hear the most annoying rad lib take that I've heard. Woke of the daytime. Come on, Chomsky's brain. You know that's an anarchist, okay? You know that's an anarchist. Oh, I'm about to get hit with something like campus SJWs or something. That's what it is, right? That's Groyper terminology, you think. Yeah, Groyper's invented campus SJW as a term. Is that the one? Is that what you're saying? I mean, in this instance, if you can't identify the power imbalance between a burger stand employee and the fucking federal government, your take is weak. No, exactly. Why is this guy not giving us the take? God damn it. Wired wrote, Brendan Carr isn't going to stop until someone makes him. In the wake of Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, experts say the FCC commissioner's conduct is flatly unconstitutional. They also expect him to keep going. This is my attitude here as well. Okay? This is exactly what's going on. And this is a constant for everything that this administration does. Okay? This is a constant for everything this administration does. It's the same for the FCC engaging in this unconstitutional act to clean up and sanitize whatever is getting broadcasted, stamping out political dissent. And it's the same for the military deployment. You said the economy is doing bad, but assets seem to be doing much better since this year, and so do all the stats surrounding it. Lots of cuts coming in with high predictions. 2 cuts already happened. How much do you think the economy can grow in such a small window of time? Great take, chatter. In the United States of America, 50% of all commerce purchases that happen are actually happening, but 50% of all commerce, all purchase that takes place on U.S. soil is done by the top 10% of wealth. 90% of the American civilian population is responsible for the 50%, for the other 50%. So when 2 shoes are sold in this country, one's being sold to the top 10% of wealth, the other is being sold to the bottom 90%. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the top 10% of wealth in this country own 90% of the stock market. Okay? These are 2 facts you have to remember. So when the stock market is actually performing well, as it is, that is not indicative of a healthy economy. Please talk to a normal person that works a fucking job. Okay? A real job. What is this economy update?
That seems bad. Oh, that seems pretty bad. This one is actually for mortgages and, well, it seems bad. And this, well, this seems bad. You know, with this one specifically, I feel like you can kind of see that there was a dam, holding back the worst case scenario for a while, and then, something happened. I don't know what. And it sure got a lot worse.
I'm yelling at my dad. SJW, soy boy, etc. is constantly in your lexicon. It's just normalize that language. Not trying to be woke of the day, I swear. I just worry about all the young people in here picking it up and proliferating their enemy's language. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's all right. You can talk about doing it all you want, but if you actually do it, that's where the Constitution steps in. You're dumb if you don't see the difference. Wait, what? The point is, there is no machine that is going to stop this magically. You have to fight back. You have to fight back by using the pre-existing avenues. You have to engage in a legal battle. You have to be brave. If you don't do any of those things, then slowly but surely, these institutions are going to erode. Okay? Yeah. Top 1% of Americans have more wealth than the entire middle class now, in case you were wondering how cooked the country is, which is ironic because that literally is that is a class designation that was already created. No, I know. I saw Chomsky's brains take. I know. I was right. The middle class designation was created to mystify the pre-existing class construct between the working class and the capital owning class. And what's really funny about this is that under unlimited neoliberalism, the economy has gotten so bad that even their own newly created class designation is also erupting. They invented a new class designation to not focus on working class versus capital owning classes. And even on that metric, they're still failing. Yeah, the plutonomy is still growing strong. For the last 20 years, analysts have known that this is an economy by and for the rich. Anyway, getting back to it, Rogan, Schultz, and the rest of the podcast crowd, you think they're going to unload on Disney/Bob Iger? Yes. But I do think that this is super marginal, okay? I think that they are also miscalculating. And these guys are, to a certain degree, audience captured. They also agree with some of the conservative rhetoric. And I think I think the reason why they are saying like wishy-washy, both sides are stupid type statements is because they are also miscalculating how much their audience actually likes this shit.
Speech.
And once their audiences inevitably call them out for this kind of wishy-washy bullshit, as I suspect they will, there will probably be people in their audiences that will hear them talk like this and go, dude, you're being a pussy. Just fucking call out Trump for once, dumbass. You're the reason why he got fucking elected, is probably going to be the common narrative here. Okay? Then they'll take a stronger stance. Did you talk about Asmongold's dad? Yes, I did. I talked about David, the singer, and I talked about Asmongold's dad as well. Rest in peace. Asmon dad was in this broadcast as well. He was a watcher. He was a HasanAbi head.
This seems like a big attack on free speech. And yeah, I think we've been...
Have you literally heard of any podcast, bro, who has said they regret voting for Trump? Yes, this podcast, as a matter of fact. Andrew Schultz literally came out and was like, we didn't think you were going to do this stuff. We didn't think he was going to do this stuff. Like, and they said that like a couple months ago, as a matter of fact.
This seems like a big attack on free speech. And
I think he's been way more aggro. He's been way more aggro on Trump. Andrew Schultz is like the one that was more wishy-washy, but he's also anti-Trump now. He's on the anti-Trump train as well. I mean, he's besties with Charlemagne the God, who is like one of the most esteemed liberals out there. So
yeah, I think we've been pretty staunchly in favor of free speech. And it is funny to watch right-wing people just become left-wing people. Because I said something about how you're a snowflake if you think you should be. If you agree with this, that's some snowflake shit. And somebody was like, you clearly don't even know what the First Amendment means. And that's exactly what left-wing people used to tell me. Yeah. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom.
No, you know what's funny? No. If Republicans were up in arms about the Jimmy Kimmel thing, that's fine, okay? That is cancel culture, and Republicans weaponize it all the time. I know this because I am the recipient of a lot of the manufactured outrage that Republicans regularly engage in. Okay? That's cancel culture. That's broadly understood as cancel culture. It is a universal principle. Everybody loves using it against their political opposition. What is happening in this instance is worse than that. What's happening in this instance is actually much more dangerous than that. It's the administration taking the initiative to sanitize and stamp out political dissent by using the FCC, okay? Using the FCC as a primary vehicle to do something that the FCC itself has openly admitted they have no authority to do so because it is unconstitutional. And in the absence of any sort of legal pushback, this won't become a constitutional problem. This is literally state censorship. This has nothing to do with whether you like Jimmy Kimmel or not, okay? Nothing at all.
From consequences.
Right.
So y'all have just switched.
Yeah.
Now, again, this has nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's a fucking horrendous thing. Let's get that out of the way. But in terms of censorship, freedom of speech is more under attack now, honestly, than I think it has ever been. I don't know if that's me being hyperbolic.
Maybe. I mean, as far as what Jimmy said, I think it's untrue, or at least unfair.
I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. We should also say that. I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. He should be allowed to say it. And what happened to Charlie Kirk is worse. Charlie Kirk should have been allowed to say the things we didn't like. Jimmy Kimmel should be allowed to say the things we didn't like. That's just what America is.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech, I've seen it truly under attack in India, where it's like you can go to jail. This is closer to that than I think what the left was doing.
Yeah.
Which is like the FCC putting, as much as we didn't like left-wing shit, like far left policy or far left whatever thoughts, it wasn't like Joe Biden was putting pressure on somebody to get canceled for saying retard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes this different and scarier to me and closer to what India has. Then that's what makes it an actual attack on free speech to me.
Yeah.
So, why are you stocking your own soda? What do you mean? I normally don't do it on the broadcast, but, you know, I got to do it at some point. So, yeah, this is, he at least arrived at the conclusion here, slowly but surely, but he did. He arrived at the conclusion, the correct conclusion, which is that this is worse than, like, a bunch of leftists, like, being annoying, okay? So much. I love that so much of their fucking gripe also revolves around saying the R word, man. Oh, my God. I cannot believe that we have Donald Trump as president in part because people just wanted to say the R word without someone being fucking annoying to them. Oh my God, dude. What a fucking stupid environment we exist in. What an absolutely ridiculous environment we exist in. And then they're also like, oh, well, Jimmy Kimmel, what he said, we don't like. Like, what do you mean? He didn't even say anything. Like, he didn't say anything. He did not say anything even remotely offensive, okay? There is a reason why free speech exists, because language is up to interpretation. If you start prosecuting people over language, you can arrive at some very dangerous situations. Language is subjective. The original video of Jimmy Kimmel that caused this chaos was straight up around Jimmy Kimmel basically saying, in the immediate aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination, they spent every moment being like, oh, it's one of your guys. It turns out it was one of their guys. And that Donald Trump is not sufficiently grieving Charlie Kirk. He doesn't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. And then he showed a clip of Donald Trump doing just that. Okay. And people are trying to turn around and say, oh, Jimmy Kimmel lied. How dare you? How dare you say that the shooter was one of our guys? Motherfucker, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, said the exact same thing. He came from a MAGA family. You guys tried to say he was transgender and Antifa, okay? And not only did Republicans also go along with this fucking idiotic shit, the false claims that this person was like straightforwardly a transgender Trantifa or whatever, that they were going to start prosecuting Trantifa or what they suspect is trans Antifa, okay? But then they also recognized that the shooter was from good stock, right? From their perspective. So they actually de-escalated quite significantly. They were calling for blood. They were calling for civil war. They were calling for war. And then they fucking turned around and decided, oops, maybe he is one of our guys. You're wrong. He didn't even say it was one of their guys. He just said they tried hard to show it wasn't one of their. None of it matters. Even if Jimmy Kimmel went on television and said, this guy voted for Trump illegally 1 million times. He loves Donald Trump. The guy that shot Charlie Kirk loves Donald Trump. There is no government interference, okay? There is no fucking government interference. He isn't, though. You're being dishonest. Oh, my God. This is not about the contents of Jimmy Kimmel's commentary. The reason why I even brought up how language is subjective is to prove to you why it's idiotic to try and make these kinds of decisions at the federal level. What are we talking about, man? Are you making an assumption that he's MAGA? Is there proof? No, dude, I'm not saying he's MAGA. Oh my God. Chatters. First of all, what are we doing here? It's going to be illegal to broadcast false information. I guess we're going after Fox News any day now. Do y'all have a brain is a good question. Is one that I find myself asking all the time. I even ask myself the same question for participating in this fruitless endeavor. I'm not saying the shooter is MAGA or a Trump voter or a Trump supporter. I'm saying that the right wing presented the shooter as a diehard Antifa, transgender, socialist Marxist. And then when they found out that he actually came from a MAGA family, they quickly scaled back their commentary, okay? And the reason for why they did that, the reason for why Nancy Mace, for example, the day prior was talking about executing this alleged suspect or the shooter, and then after the shooter was revealed to be a white boy, quirked up white boy, okay, turned around and started talking about praying for his soul, is because they also came to the recognition that the shooter might be one of their guys. This does not mean that the shooter is actually a MAGA guy. I don't think the shooter is MAGA. There's no indication that the shooter is MAGA. Even having a Steam profile username with Donald Trump does not automatically indicate that the shooter is MAGA, okay? Having said that, however, because of the subjective nature of language and interpretation, it is ridiculous to try and criminalize this kind of speech or any kind of speech. I have never been and never will be an advocate to criminalize speech, no matter how offensive I find it, no matter how dehumanizing I find it. This doesn't mean that there isn't a limit to speech, what kind of speech that you can engage in. Obviously, there are very reasonable limits that even in the United States of America, people don't entertain, okay? But ultimately, this conversation is not about what Jimmy said. what Jimmy said was incredibly timid. There is a reason why many people are not showing what Jimmy Kimmel said and simply speaking over it, because they also recognize that it would look incredibly stupid for them to consistently cry about this insanely moderate statement, because it's nothing. Do you understand? It's nothing. Do you think the heavy-handed reaction to Kimmel could have a Streisand effect? Yes. A lot more than the endless amounts of attacking people for protesting against Israel. Okay? There were so many legal and career repercussions for people's safety for the crime of exercising their First Amendment rights on college campuses. This started under the Biden administration after October 7, and it continued with the Trump administration. It only escalated under the Trump administration with potential deportations for the likes of Mahmoud Khalil or Rumeysa Öztürk, okay? And this environment of censorship was already here, but many Americans didn't fully comprehend it because they didn't give a fuck about college campus protesters that were criticizing the state of Israel. Even if they agreed with the state of Israel, they didn't care about it enough, because that's just a thing kids do. I think that the average normie basically looked at it as student protests, they happen, and sometimes they get a little out of hand, But this is something that will be a nuisance. This is something that will be a major nuisance, because Jimmy Kimmel is an inoffensive figure. He is an utterly inoffensive figure. You might not like him. You might not think he's funny. That is completely irrelevant, okay? Completely irrelevant in this situation. Trump primarily speaks and the right listens. In dog whistles, they attempt the same translation here and therefore misinterpret you. The people who said actually it was a decision by ABC because Jimmy Kimmel said something incorrect look fucking stupid now, and they'll look even stupider when they defend this. Yeah. The reason why this happened, what is this?
You have no...
Okay, I don't care about this right now. The reason why this happened is because, Donald Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel. A lot of right-wingers hate Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel says something totally and utterly inoffensive. They use the Charlie Kirk media landscape to go after people that they've declared enemies of the state, okay? For dissent, no matter how moderate it may be, okay? They tackle the issue from, Unc, your mic is buzzing. Wait, really? Or is that one guy saying it? I don't think it is. I think you're probably hearing background noise maybe. Anyone hear that audio change suddenly? The hiss is because my dad is cooking in the background. So you might be hearing that. Yeah, you're hearing the hiss in the background because my dad is cooking. Anyway, God, I'm so fucking tired all the time. Okay. Nexstar is a local media broadcaster. Okay. Nexstar wants to purchase Tegna, which is another local media broadcaster. They want to merge. Okay. And in order for them to merge and completely dominate the local news stations, the FCC must approve of the decision. And for the FCC to approve, and there's a rule, an antitrust rule, that declares that the FCC will not allow a merger that will give any fucking TV conglomerate more than 39% market share. Okay? Nexstar is trying to acquire its rival Tegna, a monopolistic merger that would blow past that rule, reaching 80% of households. Nexstar is the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air. Nexstar was, alongside ABC and alongside every other outlet that features Jimmy Kimmel, was threatened by the FCC. Okay? The FCC openly came out, with the head of the FCC openly coming out and saying, we are going to police your speech. He did this on the Benny Johnson show, okay? And not only that, but they also stated that Jimmy Kimmel has to apologize and then also donate to Turning Point USA in order to come back on the air. Then Nexstar went to ABC and demanded that Jimmy Kimmel get taken off the air. ABC executives knew that Jimmy Kimmel hadn't said anything wrong. Here's the bombshell allegation from the Rolling Stone. They were pissing themselves all day when ABC Insider tells Rolling Stone. In the hours leading up to the decision to pull Kimmel, two sources familiar with the matter say senior executives at ABC, Disney, and affiliates convened emergency meetings to figure out how to minimize the damage. Multiple execs felt that Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, the two sources say, but the threat of Trump administration retaliation loomed. Do you understand? So they caved to the pressure instead of standing strong and defending the First Amendment, not realizing that this will inevitably hurt them in the long run when the Trump administration comes back and demands more censorship. Do you understand? Nexstar is the largest station group in the country, also has a major merger before the Trump administration. Its proposed acquisition of Tegna, creating a mega company with 265 stations in 44 states and the District of Columbia, representing 80% of U.S. TV households. Nexstar is also a leading champion of the broadcast industry for the FCC to relax media ownership limits, something necessary to get its deal through regulatory approval. Nexstar owns 32 ABC affiliates out of a total of 200 stations. So the dumbasses that were like, we're voting for Trump so we can say the F word and the R word are perhaps not realizing that like this is the actual not only cancel culture, but like this is actually a violation of the First Amendment. Many people mistake cancel culture as a violation of the First Amendment. Okay? Applying organic pressure is cancel culture. When the federal government steps in, that's beyond cancel culture. That's actually a violation of the First Amendment. One is unconstitutional and illegal. The other is a nuisance and annoying. Republicans do both. Okay? That's it. I'll give you an example. When these pedophilic Nazis, like the ones that Elon Musk routinely highlights, are consistently claiming that, you know, I'm doing these illegal things on stream and companies need to step in and try to galvanize an audience to take action and to send and spam call advertisers, for example, to apply pressure to a company, that's cancel culture, okay? Through and through. That's cancel culture. They're just being fucking annoying. They're being annoying nuisances, okay? And it's entirely dependent on the company to make that decision, to calculate whether or not this is appropriate. Calculate whether or not I'm worthy of staying on the platform or I just have too many people up my asshole, okay? But it's still up to the company. But when the government interferes, that actually becomes a real problem that pertains to the First Amendment. When the government starts applying pressure, well then, you know, the government has awesome power. Then they're censoring certain types of speech. It's completely unacceptable and it's unconstitutional. What? Are you all right, man? Spreadsheet socialists. Some dude at the grocery store told me to go to socialism. What? R word, R word. Oh, is my mom in the chat? Are we talking about me or is my brother is blackmailing me because he raped me? I'm just trying to make sure I get the facts straight. Oh, I can't wait for an example. Please give me more. Please give me many more. Okay, this person I think is experiencing some issues right now. I shouldn't have read that. Not gonna lie, your sub count, the only thing having them not throw you under the bus before this, probably their metrics show you're not botted and viewers largely only watch you. Yes, there's a couple different reasons. One, because I play ball, okay? I stick within the confines, no matter how much my haters try to fucking present it as the opposite, I stick within the confines of the terms of service. I'm a progressive figure, and also association with me for Twitch and therefore Amazon as well is a positive one in the eyes of mainstream news because they get a lot of prestige when the New York Times writes about, you know, a young activist fighting the good fight or whatever the fuck, right? On top of that, I also make money for the platform because a percentage of your subscriptions go to Twitch. So for them, they see a lot of discontent. They see a lot of anger. They see all this like bullshit. And at least for the time being, percentage of your subscriptions go to Twitch. So for them, they see a lot of discontent. They see a lot of anger. They see all this like bullshit. And at least for the time being, they think, yeah, it's not, you know, there's no reason to just like fucking clap this person. Hey, if I obviously was a major nuisance, if I was a major problem for them, they would reconsider. And maybe, Saul. Saul. If I was like consistently saying slurs, for example, like that fucking bald alleged rapist Tectone, and on top of that, I got like the same level of fucking targeting, they would have banned my ass a long time ago, most likely permanently. It's because I don't do the things that these dumb fucks are claiming all the time that I don't actually get banned.
The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host. And obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke? Obviously it wasn't anything funny about that. The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host. And obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke? Obviously, it wasn't anything funny about that.
His name, dude, Stephen A. Smith, straight shooter. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Also, remember when everybody was making fun of me yesterday about reading r/conservative and who their next targets are? And some of those dumbasses were like, The View, please go after Hasan and also The View. Well, it turns out the dumbest guy you know that hasn't left their hometown does actually reach the halls of power. Their demands are heard by the most Twitter adjacent administration that has ever existed.
That maybe run afoul of this more often than Jimmy Kimmel. I'm thinking specifically of The View. And President Trump himself has mentioned Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers at NBC. Just wondering, do you have comments on those shows? And are they doing what Kimmel did Monday night? And is it even worse on those programs, in your opinion?
Well, look, you can be unfunny. That's fine. And a lot of people are sort of saying that, well, people are punishing Kimmel because they don't like a joke that he told. But, we don't need to rehash it here. But obviously what he said was not a joke. It wasn't presented at all that way. But when you look at these other TV shows, what's interesting is the FCC does have a rule called the equal opportunity rule, which means, for instance, if you're in the run-up to an election, you have one, partisan elected official on, you have to give equal time, equal opportunity to the opposing partisan politician. So far, so good. But there's an exception to that rule called the bona fide news exception, which means if you are a bona fide news program, you don't have to abide by the equal opportunity rule. And over the years, the FCC has developed a body of case law on that and has suggested that most of these late night shows, other than SNL, are bona fide news programs. And potentially, I would assume you can make the argument that The View is a bona fide news show. But I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's worthwhile to have the FCC look into whether The View and some of these other programs that you have still qualify as bona fide news programs and therefore exempt from the equal opportunity regime that Congress has put in place.
God, they want to do DEI, bro. They literally are doing DEI, but not in like the actual reason for why DEI existed, but the ways they claim DEI actually worked, but in the opposite direction. They kept saying like DEI is when you have people who don't deserve this spot gain some kind of like prominence, black people and brown people, by virtue of being black or brown, when it was simply just to look at more a diverse pool of candidates in order to address the previous limitations that said candidates actually experienced. But now they're like, no, to hell with all that. We want our guys, conservatives. You have to have conservatives on your shows. You have to hire conservatives on your shows. You have to put conservatives on your shows, which is ironic because Scott Jennings is a DEI hire in that exact vein for fucking CNN. Scott Jennings is the guy. He is the DEI hire for conservatism for CNN. Meghan McCain used to be the DEI hire for The View.
A lot of people think they're
so dumb.
Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is say Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fly safely. You know why I say that? Because I'm on the flight.
I want to get home.
Otherwise, I wouldn't care.
Can we just have one word on how you yelled at you who were protesting when you were at Joe Stone Crab should be in jail? Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. And they said things that were and it was a question of when you take a look at the way they acted, the way they behaved. Yeah, I think they were a threat.
He's talking about Medea Benjamin of Code Pink, who is I think 4'11", 80-year-old Jewish lady, my goat. And he's saying that she was a threat because she was being menacing and saying Trump is a fascist, which is now a prosecutable offense, I guess. Fantastic.
I think they're a nasty organization.
But you think they deserve jail?
Well, I don't know. I was going to ask, last week in the Oval Office, I asked you about if Ilhan Omar should be censored. Congress censored her. I just want to get your reaction to that.
They did censor her. When did this happen?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I think she's...
These guys are so stupid. They didn't even... No, they didn't. They couldn't. The vote didn't pass. What are we doing? Like I get why these guys lie in the direction of the administration when the administration lies, but why are you just like making up a different story even when you're asking a question? Let him lie and then you agree with him. What the fuck? We've moved beyond it.
Terrible. I think she should be impeached. I think she's terrible. Is she originally from Somalia? Yes, sir. So how are they doing it? How's their government? Do they have a president? Do they have a council? Anything? Do they have police? I love these people that come from a place with nothing, no anything, and then they tell us how to run our country. No, I think if she got censored, that's great. If she got impeached, that's even better. They impeached me twice for nothing, and they impeached me knowing the Republicans are on my side, so they knew it was just. But they impeached me twice. She should be impeached, and it should happen fast. What she says is out of line. Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, that is so insanely fucking racist, dude. What do you say to that? What do you even say to that? They come here from countries like Somalia and they tell us how to run our country. Dog, she's an elected representative. What the fuck are you talking about?
But let's get right to the news breaking overnight. By now, you've heard from Hollywood that ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel's long-running late-night show indefinitely after an angry response to comments he made about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. This morning, we are hearing reaction from the entertainment world and the president. Jonathan Vigliotti is in Los Angeles with the latest. Jonathan, good morning to you.
And Gail, good morning to you. A rerun of Family Feud aired in place of Jimmy Kimmel Live last night. The move to indefinitely suspend his show is now raising new questions over the ways the Trump administration is pressuring private companies.
Days after police arrested the man suspected of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk, this was Jimmy Kimmel's reaction Monday night.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
In response, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, a Trump appointee, appeared to threaten broadcasters Wednesday while speaking on a conservative podcast.
They have a license granted by us at the FCC.
Bro, I can't believe they just like they cover it as though it's like valid. Just, it's not only unconstitutional, but it's invalid. And no, this isn't cancel culture. This is worse. This is an actual violation of the First Amendment, okay? It's only cancel culture if a bunch of Republicans decide this is unacceptable and they start crying, okay, Republican voters. When you bring in the government and the actual organs of the state, then it becomes a violation of the First Amendment.
That comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Hours later, Nexstar, the country's largest local broadcasting group, announced it would preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future on its stations, calling his monologue, quote, offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse. And shortly after, ABC said it would pull its late-night host off the air indefinitely. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
When a private employer takes action against a private employee for speech, that's not a First Amendment issue. That, generally speaking, is an employment-based issue.
Celebrities like Ben Stiller and Gene Smart were quick to defend Kimmel. Comedian Wanda Sykes, who is scheduled to appear as Kimmel's guest Wednesday, accused the Trump administration.
Dude, this is not that. This is the government threatening a company directly. Anyone who says, oh, this corporation came to this conclusion on their own is a fucking liar. This is ridiculous. The government cannot compel speech. That is, like, you don't have to be a constitutional scholar, okay? The government cannot compel most speech, let's say. Because obviously, like, issuing death threats to the president or whatever, you can't do that, right? Like, you can face criminal repercussions for things such as that. But in most circumstances, the government cannot compel speech, okay? This is the government compelling speech. So for a lot of people, you cannot say that you want to assassinate the president. It is illegal. You can't say it. I'm not going to say it because, obviously I'm going to get fucking clipped. So the whitest kids skit, yeah.
Of ending free speech.
Hey, for those of you who pray, Now's the time to do it. Love you, Jimmy.
Reacting to the news Wednesday night, President Trump called it great news for America. Kimmel has routinely taken aim at the president in his late-night monologues, and he's subsequently been a target of Trump's ire, including after CBS announced it was canceling its Late Show franchise with Stephen Colbert, citing financial concerns.
I guess that wasn't enough for Presidente because he posted, the word is, and it's a strong word at that, Jimmy Kimmel is next to go in the untalented late night sweepstakes. You want us to be canceled because we make jokes about you? I thought you were against cancel culture. I thought that was like their whole thing.
We must be careful not to allow the government to punish critics simply because of content.
Ana Gomez is one of 2 FCC commissioners working with Carr. She was appointed by former President Joe Biden and called Kimmel's suspension a dangerous new precedent.
This administration is increasingly using the weight of government power to suppress lawful expression, not because it glorifies violence or breaks the law, but because it challenges those in power and reflects views they oppose.
And we asked Jimmy Kimmel and his reps for comment, but haven't heard back. We should note that Nexstar decided to preempt Kimmel's show as it seeks FCC approval for a $6.2 billion merger with another media company, Tegna. Nate?
Jonathan, thank you.
All right, it is 20 minutes after the top of the hour. ABC News pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely over the late night host comments on the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
That's right, Ty joins us with the latest on that. Good morning, Ty.
Good morning to all three of you. The shakeup comes as Jimmy Kimmel continued to reference Charlie Kirk and the alleged gunman this week during his late night monologue.
I can't believe it, dude. The way these guys are fucking caving is so devastating to me.
It all started with him calling out President Trump just a day after the assassination. Watch.
With all these terrible things happening, you would think that our president will at least make an attempt to bring us together, but he didn't. He had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
After the comedian's contentious remarks about the president on September 11th and then the MAGA base on September 15th, as you heard, Kimmel continued again on Tuesday, stating, quote, many in MAGA land are working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Wow, I can't believe he said all of those correct things. I can't believe Jimmy Kimmel was so right. It's making me reconsider why I didn't even think he was funny. None of these things are even jokes at this point. It's just correct statements that he is saying. Again, we are prosecuting correct statements, objective statements.
FCC warning Disney there would be action taken against his comments, and then ABC pulled him off the air indefinitely shortly thereafter. Just before ABC's announcement, the president of one of the country's largest TV stations said it would stop airing Kimmel's show, calling the host's comments offensive and insensitive, and that they don't represent the values of the communities in which we are located. They're going to replace programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. SAG-AFTRA, though, responding to the suspension, stating that the decision is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. Now, all of this news comes as yet another ABC reporter issues an apology for insensitive commentary on Charlie Kirk's assassination, gushing over the alleged shooter's text to his roommate.
It's very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeating